Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new type of video on my channel. I'm gonna call it Let's Talk because I sometimes just want to talk about certain topics. There also isn't gonna be a lot of editing in those videos. For this one I also don't have any kind of script. I'm just gonna talk freely about how I came out to my parents as trans and how they reacted to it. So on that day, it was in December 2022, and on that day I was in the city for the first time as a woman, and that was a really great experience. Somewhat awkward because it was my very first time going out like this, but my best friend was with me and he really supported me a lot during that day, and that gave me a lot of confidence. At that evening when we were about to say goodbye, I said to him, you know, I'm gonna go to my parents, like I'm dressed right now, and come out to them. And that's pretty much what I did. I gotta say the outfit I was wearing was pretty cringe. I'm a bit ashamed. I don't even know if I'm gonna show this now, but thankfully my fashion style is much better now. But anyway, I was driving home and of course I was very nervous about coming out to my parents. I was living at their house at the time, so whenever I wanted to wear women clothes I had to do it in secret. So yeah, I felt how my heart was pumping really fast, and when I got home I stand in front of my mother's door, and it took me a lot of time to take the courage to open the door, and suddenly, without me realizing it, my father entered the kitchen. You have to go through our kitchen in order to reach my mother's room, and I just hid behind a wall. I was like, please go away, you can't see me like that. It was a really awkward moment and he didn't understand what was going on. My mother of course also heard me and was just like, yeah, just leave the kitchen, let's see what's going on. And yeah, he got back into his room and I was about to enter my mother's room, and that was really difficult. And suddenly I just jumped in and said hi, and she just looked at me, at the clothes I was wearing, and she was completely befuddled, like, what are you wearing? Why are you doing that? She thought, okay, I was in Düsseldorf, Germany, that's the city where I went, and there are often a lot of cosplayers around. Maybe she thought, okay, he's just cosplaying as something, but no, that wasn't the case at all. And I just, sit next to her and couldn't really explain it in words. I said, what do you think I want to tell you? And at some point she said, do you want to be a girl? And I just sat there and went, yes, I would like to. And I was really sad at that moment because I couldn't handle my emotions at all. I was so unsure about what's going to happen now, what's her reaction gonna be. And she just tried to comfort me and make me feel better, like, it's okay, don't be upset or anything like that. And I managed to calm down a bit. But she was of course also curious, like, why did you decide to do this? Why do you want to be a girl? And I couldn't really explain it well in words at the time. I was really overwhelmed, and it stayed like this for a couple of days. There didn't happen much after my coming out in that evening. It was very late after all. My father just came later into my room and said, it's okay how you want to live, I support you, do what makes you happy. And it was an awkward outing, but I thought, okay, it still went rather well. My parents still accept me, they're not throwing me out or anything like that. But it turned into an awkward situation during the next days, because my mother was bombarding me with questions, and that happened for many, many more weeks and even months. Even today she doesn't still quite get it, but things have definitely improved. And my father was a somewhat difficult case. At first he was like, yeah, I support you, do what makes you happy, but later he tried to talk me out of it. I was also doing a new job education at that point as a media designer, and he thought it would distract me from learning and finishing my education, which wasn't the case, but he was really worried that I screw that up and that I might do something I will regret later. And yeah, of course it was a really uncertain time for me. It hasn't been that long since I came out to myself as trans, so I still had a lot of things to figure out in my mind. But it all happened over time, and slowly my parents started to accept me. They called me by my new chosen name. They still screw it up sometimes. Sometimes they accidentally call me he or call me by my dead name. It kind of hurts the more time passes, because I thought, okay, you had some time to get used to it. Why are you still calling me by my dead name? I mean, look at me. I'm standing in front of you in full girl mode, makeup and everything, and how can you think he when you look at me? It was somewhat awkward and still sometimes is. And that's why I'm happy to move out soon and move in together with my girlfriend. That's why I chose this background after all, to show, okay, I'm moving out soon, and also because it's the living room, because my outing to my parents happened in the living room. That's why I chose this background. But yeah, my parents slowly adapted to the situation. It's still not perfect, and I'm gonna move out soon anyway, but they both try to support me in the best way possible, and I'm really happy about that, even if they sometimes fumble some things up. At least they're trying, and that makes me happy. On the other hand, there's also my brother and my sister-in-law. I also came out to them, and my sister-in-law had a pretty neutral reaction. She didn't say anything bad or anything good. It's just like, okay, if that's what you want, what makes you happy, that's alright. And yeah, that's about a short story on her side. My brother was a bit like my mother in the case, that he didn't understand where I was coming from. Why would someone who lived his life for over 30 years as a boy or a man suddenly want to be a girl? And it took some time, multiple months honestly, but at some point we just sat down together and talked about it. And I explained why I feel better this way, how I discovered myself, and he was just listening and understood it. Also said, yeah, I have friends and colleagues who went through something similar, and I don't have something against how people live their lives. So yeah, my brother was very accepting, which honestly surprised me, because he tends to be a very hot-headed person. He can get angry very easily, and I thought, oh no, he's maybe gonna be the hardest person to deal with my family in the future. But no, he was very supportive, and after I showed him, yes, some of my transition pictures, how much I changed in the last couple of years, he was really impressed. One thing that I struggled with was giving my parents some time to adapt. I wanted them to pretty much immediately call me by my new chosen name, call me she, her, everything like that. But I think that's a bit difficult if you lived with a son for over 30 years and just got so used to that. So I should have given them a bit more time, and I feel bad about that. So if they're watching those, I don't think they are, but I'm sorry about that. I should have given you a bit more time, but they're trying. Especially my father. He most of the time he remembers to call me by my new pronouns or my new name. My mother still makes mistakes sometimes, but I try to be patient, but sometimes it's a bit difficult. So yeah, overall my family was very accepting, and the same goes for my community. I had a Discord server, another YouTube channel for a long time, and one day after I came out to my parents, I also came out to my community, and I gotta tell you, I was really scared about that. I thought, oh no, maybe a lot of people are gonna drop you, ignore you, say some really bad words about you, and I made it so that only people could respond to me who I follow on Twitter. And after I came out, I got a lot of supportive comments, and I a bit overwhelmed thinking about that. It really meant so much to me. I was crying a lot, but because I was so happy. And through that I also met my girlfriend. I think that's a story for another time, but I'm glad I outed myself as trans, and so much good has happened since then. I met so many new people, made new friendships, I'm in a happy relationship, and I hope this new channel will also bloom and grow in the future, and maybe also help other people who are struggling with their feelings, because I sure did a lot of that. But yeah, that's how I came out to my parents. There were a couple of small roadblocks, but overall I think it was fine how everything went. And if I could give advice to some of you, maybe some of you want to come out to their family. First, I hope they support you. And if they have a lot of questions, try to be patient with them. I know it can be really difficult. You want to really understand immediately, but I think it's really difficult for a cis person to understand what's going on in a trans person's mind, and no matter how well you explain it, they can never fully grasp it. But often they try to do their best, and I hope your situation turns out fine, or turned out fine. So yeah, that was my first Let's Talk video about how I came out to my parents. I hope you enjoyed this type of video. I definitely have some more topics I would like to talk about. Let me know what you think about it, or tell me how I can improve these videos. I would be very curious about that. And I hope to see you again very soon. I hope you're all gonna have a nice day. And until next time, this was your mate Nagi. Have a nice day. Goodbye.